Hey guys, it's Mountain Walk, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about a sweet EDH deck tech thingy. This is from a new release. This is from the Dominaria United. It was like collector boosters or whatever, like these extra cards that are not legal in standard or like formats like that, but are legal in like Commander and Legacy and things like that. Um, yeah, I can't keep track of like what cards are released or what boosters they come in or anything like that. But I do like this guy, Emperor Mihail II. This guy is sweet. He's got like actually the full art, or excuse me, the borderless is really cool because you can see more detail of things in the art, like more of the fishes, and it's more of like a wide frame, so it's actually pretty cool. But it's a 3 mana 3/3 Merfolk Noble. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast Merfolk spells from the top of your library, so it's like a future sight only for Merfolk, which is very, very cool. And whenever you cast a Merfolk spell, you may pay a colorless. If you do, create a 1/1 blue Merfolk creature token. Well, what does that make us? Oh man, look at these. Yeah. Very cool, very cool. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of making tokens, and definitely sort of different sort of kinds of strategies, and by that I mean like typically like Merfolk decks don't have a lot of token makers off the top of my head. Like there's one or two cards like Lol Mage Mentor makes tokens and stuff like that, but very it seems like blue doesn't make a ton of creature tokens, which is interesting. But this guy does. This is definitely pretty interesting for me. I'm like, oh wow, this is cool. Most Merfolk are pretty tiny anyway, so you're already kind of incentivized to play things like coat of arms and stuff. But yeah, so yeah, I was really interested in this guy. I mean, maybe even I think actually in Legacy, someone maybe got like a league or whatever with a couple of these guys in Merfolk, but Merfolk isn't exactly great in Legacy, anyways. But this guy is great, and it's definitely really cool, really fun. I just like it, and I like the noble creature type. I think it's really cool flavor. That's pretty sweet. So yeah, so we will start. Uh, Here, let's just drag this whole thing over here. There we go. Bam. Let's start with the lands and go from there. And yeah, this deck is meant to be more like a fun deck. Nothing too crazy, Like, I mean, I don't think this type of strategy, these sort of random tribal decks that aren't like combo killing and things like that, they're typically not like super scary. But this is cool. This is cool. I get to do fun stuff and use cards I really like, and yeah. So, anyways, we're starting off with Coral Atoll. This card is sweet. It's basically a bounce land. It's really fun. It's got great John Avon art. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. So that's really sweet. It is kind of like mana acceleration, and I mostly just want to play it because it's cool. So there's that. Castle Vantress, basically a free include as long as you have enough islands. This is mono blue, so that's pretty easy. Mystic Sanctuary, we aren't running a ton of instants and sorceries, but we do have a few, and this is again it's another blue source, and it can come into play untapped, and when it does, of course, you do get the reclaim effect putting on top of your library. So that's kind of neat. It's probably a card that could be cut. Like I said, I think there's like 11 or 12 total instants or sorceries, so it's not exactly super exciting, but whatever. I just kind of wanted to play with it. Hall of the Storm Giants. This is cool. This is perfect for a Merfolk deck because, like, obviously it's under the sea. It's very like sea creature-y themed, and I'm always a big fan of that. So flavor is a big part of it. So yeah, and it's obviously like a pretty just solid card. Late game when you can sink your mana and have like this big beefy beater, which you normally don't get in this kind of deck. Svelunite Temple. Obviously, this card is sweet. It's a little, I mean, it's kind of ramp, but you have to sack it, so eh. But it is cool. It's old school. I mean, how many times do you get to play with Fallen Empires cards that aren't like High Tide or Hymn to Turok or something? Path of Ancestry. It's a travel deck, and yeah, this scries, and that's sweet, and It's pretty good with your commander, you know, being able to get rid of like non-merfolk and stuff, or extra lands, things like that that you don't need off the top of your library, to keep chaining into more merfolk and making more merfolk, and there you go. Pretty obvious. Mirrored Landscape, just a ramp card. War Room, it's a monocolor deck, so War Room's really good. Just another way to draw cards, so that's pretty sweet. Riptide Lab, a lot of merfolks are also wizards, so that's really cool. So we can do save our wizards from dying, or reuse their enter the battlefields effect, like Silvergill Adept. So that's kind of neat. Field of Ruin, yeah, just some land hate, but it doesn't put you down on land. Obviously, if I had like extra wastelands or strip mines or whatever, I'd put that in here too. But I like Field of Ruin just in general because, you know, well, it doesn't put you down on land. You do want land hate against people that are playing like, you know, really powerful non-basics, which is a lot of people. So yeah, definitely a pretty sweet card, and it's got that sweet old border frame. Although that stupid colorless symbol is annoying. Okay, Reliquary Tower. Yeah, sometimes you're going to be drawing a lot of cards, so Reliquary Tower will let you keep them all for not a whole lot of cost. Scavenging Grounds. This is basically free graveyard hate. The card's super sweet. I mean, obviously, you can only play so many non-basic lands, right? So many colorless lands. But yeah, Scavenging Grounds is certainly one that earns its spot. So I'm a big fan. Ooh, things are getting all wonky. Teleria West, this can tutor for all of your other lands, or if I had a Tormod's Crypt, which I would like to put into the deck. Just again, I always like to have like 2 to 3 pieces, depending on the deck, of like graveyard hate. And Teleria West can get those, any 0 mana things. You can obviously get your other lands, so very cool. I have Remote Isle in here because I like the art, and I guess you can cycle it too late game if you have too many lands, but I just have it in here because I like the art. Same thing with Lonely Sandbar. These are very comfy lands, very great atmosphere. You know, you look at them and like, ah, yes, this would be a nice, comfy place to hang out. Heather Hudson did the art for this. Gotta love it. She's a great artist. And of course, all of my basics are the Sweet Teacup Islands, which is really cool because I think these are pretty neat. Um, yeah, I just like the Teacup Islands. Although there's so many good islands to choose from, like from I think like Invasion, Odyssey, and Onslaught have a lot of really good lands. Obviously, you know, everything from Alpha through um, Odyssey, or excuse me, Alpha through Onslaught, right? That 10-year time period. All of those basic lands I think are really great. There's tons of different promo ones. And of course, I think there's even some really cool ones occasionally these days. Obviously, this one's a little bit older, right? Coming out in 2009, but Teacup lands are very sweet. Let's see. Yep. So many of these. I think there's like 25 of them. Yeah. Come on. Oh, there we go. Now we'll do the mana rocks and all this good stuff. I don't have a arcane signet. Uh, man, and like I need to get another one of those guys, or and also this soul ring. Like at least the arcane signet has like a fairly cheap like alternate like Dan Frazier art, which is really good. This soul ring is like some of the worst art I've ever seen in my life. Like this is so horrendous. It literally looks like something from, I don't know, like Reboot in the 90s. It's really bad. Anyways, hopefully they'll come up with some really nice art that I don't have to pay $1 million for. You know, I mean, yeah, sure, another Beta Soul Ring would be nice, but I'm not paying that much for it. Maybe in the Brothers War, they'll give us a nice old Border Soul Ring with not bad art. Anyways, Mind Stone, yep, this is a good card to ramp. Draws you cards if you need it. Sky Diamond. This card is sweet because I love Sky Diamond. Very fond of all the Diamond cycle when I started. I had like a red deck with like fire diamonds and stuff. That was sweet. Anyways, yeah, so very cool. Kefnit's Monument. This is really sweet because it's ramp, right? It'll ramp you, as well as it's like removal too, being able to like freeze, right? Is that what this ability is called, where it taps and it doesn't untap during their next untap step? Something like that. Anyways, Kefnit's Monument is a very sweet card, and just having like this sort of repeatable like pseudo creature removal is really good for helping your guys get through. Very sweet. Warm Power Stone. It's really good 3 mana cheap ramp, especially in like a monocolor deck where you don't need as much fixing. Drain Dynamo, yeah, same thing, very good. Gilded Lotus produces a bunch of mana immediately and colored mana too, so that's really nice. Helps you play a bunch of spells at once. Gauntlet of Power, yep, it's a monocolor deck. Obviously, this would incentivize me to run more basic islands, which I might. Like I said, Lonely Sandbar and Remote Island stuff, and some others are like, cool, but like they might actually just need to be regular islands, especially because I've got other cards that are affected by that kind of stuff too. So, yeah, Gauntlet of Power, pretty sweet card. Big fan. So it's like it's a mana doubler and it pumps your guys. Well, I should say creatures of the chosen color. So it's like it pumps everyone's of the chosen color and it doubles everyone's stuff. But again, it's a lot harder for multicolor decks to really take advantage of it. But do be aware, obviously, yes, it is symmetrical. But we want our guys to get big, and we want a lot of mana because the more mana we have, the more cards we can cast with Emperor Mihail or whatever. The second, Cage Sun, same thing except it's asymmetrical. Very nice. Yeah, Rising Waters. I love this card. This is sweet. Obviously, some people aren't going to like it, but you're going to need some sort of power, something to help get through with all these little derpy merfolk. And this is one of them because, well, you need to have all your mana out, your mana rocks, so that'll make you like more immune to Rising Waters. You don't have to worry about getting color screwed, which is nice. So yeah, it's just really powerful mana disruption. And this will, certainly help you win the game. Although I guess it won't help you win any friends, but that's okay. That's okay. No biggie. Opposition, same sort of thing. It can be mana disruption as well as like just creature removal. So this even turns like your little derpy merfolk into things that will, obviously you can tap your opponent's attackers, push through blockers, that kind of thing. Obviously, tap down like maybe important artifacts, obviously important lands. So very sweet card, very sweet card. Definitely one I really liked. A lot of nostalgia. I remember playing Squirrel Opposition back in the day, and playing against it a lot too, which wasn't as fun. But anyways, very sweet card. Propaganda. Yep, this is pretty good with just dissuading from people attacking you in general, and good with your other mana denial effects. So, yeah, cool card. Back to basics. One of the biggest reasons why I'm thinking like, yeah, I should probably just be playing more of these basic lands, but that's okay. Being slightly affected by our own back to basics is fine, especially when it's like a total bomb, if timed correctly against a lot of different people. Very sweet card, very, very powerful card, big fan. And Winter Orb, the kits keep on coming. Winter Orb, yeah, it's basically the same thing, more mana denial. Very sweet card, very fun card. I mean, I like casting it. This art's pretty good too, although I do like the polar bear one. That one's pretty sweet. All right, now we're into like the sort of miscellaneous kind of stuff. Coat of Arms. This makes your dudes huge. Emperor Mihail obviously produces typically a lot of merfolk, and so the more merfolk you have in play, the better this is. So this lets you turn your derpy board into a lethal board. Very, very sweet. Look at this sweet art. Gotta love it. Crystal Shard. I love bouncing my stuff. I love bouncing their stuff. It's such an annoying card to play against. And it's got this sweet old retro frame, which is great. You can save your dudes from wraths. You can reuse ETBs. Just a lot of fun. Just a lot of fun. Equilibrium, the same thing, basically, except there's no paying one. You just, cast something, pay colorless, and you return a creature. So play a creature, pay one, bounce a creature. Very sweet. Big fan of Equilibrium. Got some Beebles in there. Very cool. All right, Leyline of Anticipation. This card is just sweet. I love playing everything at flash speed. Especially like the deck is like 30 something merfolk. So that's always pretty nice. So like the games you get it in your opening hand are like super fun and exciting. Just like, oh boy, I can play all my stuff at flash. So that's sweet. And I'm even fine just casting this on turn 4 or whatever. It's just like, ah, yes. Now I can just play like super flash speed, which is fun to me. Dark Steel Plate. We definitely want our commander to stick out for or stay out for as long as we can. This is very, very good on our commander. So yeah, I like it a lot. It's a cool card. Makes our commander indestructible. Very sweet. Big fan of Vidalcan Shackles. I just like stealing cards, stealing other people's creatures and stuff. That's pretty sweet. I like the art, and this is definitely a sort of nostalgic card for me. Definitely had a lot of fun playing with this card back in the day. And yeah, if we can, steal our opponent's good creatures, our army of crappy ones can probably get there. So also, it's another card that really wants you to have a lot of islands. Fabricate lets us tutor up our coat of arms or whatever else, right? So yeah, now we're into the drawing and tutoring sort of category. Uh, Icon of Ancestry. Obviously, this is an anthem, but it's also a repeated card advantage engine, and we have about a third of our deck is about 33%. I think it's like literally 33 Merfolk. Um, about a third of our deck is Merfolk, so we have a pretty good chance of hitting one off this. So yep, pretty sweet card, pretty sweet card. Obviously, it's pretty good with our commander. Like if we hit a rough patch of like no Merfolk, then we can use this to burn through those cards, and hopefully even find a Merfolk. So it kind of resets the top of your deck. So it's pretty good. Does stuff even with your commander out. Distant Melody. I haven't played this card in a deck before, so I wanted to play it in this one. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, obviously, yeah, you can pay 4 mana and draw like 5 or 6 cards. That's pretty cool. But it is really slow, but I like it anyways. Vanquisher's Banner. It's another anthem, but it can also do, well, it draws you cards. Very sweet, and it's got the retro frame. Can't go wrong with that. And yeah, very sweet. So, neat things to make our really weak Merfolk a lot spookier. Kindred Discovery. So this one is great. This draws you a ton of cards. So ETBs or attacks, you get a card. So that's great. So yeah, lots of Merfolk entering the battlefield. So this counts the tokens and stuff too. So this is really, really good. Big fan of this card. Obviously, yeah, it's great in great in blue tribal decks for obvious reasons. March of Swirling Mist. I almost forgot this card existed, but I saw it on EDH Rec. I mean, this card's only like not even a year old, and I'm like totally forgetting it exists. But this card is really sweet, and it's really cool because you can use it as a way to save your guys from mass removal, which is awesome. Or you can use it again to push through blockers, or to like dissuade attackers, that kind of thing. So a very sweet card, very multi-purpose. Big fan of it. So don't have a ton of removal, but that's one of them. Speaking of removal, Watch Out is so sweet in our mono blue deck. This is great, unless you're up against like other decks that are only mono blue as well. It's certainly less good then, but this deals with all sorts of troublesome colored permanents. So even stuff like Great Henge, you get, even though like it's an artifact, it's obviously has colors in it, so that's cool. But yeah, obviously some artifacts it doesn't affect, like their mana rocks or whatever, but definitely can be an asymmetrical sort of pseudo upheaval board sweeper kind of thing. But anyways, it's just a really old nostalgia card. I love it. I love all of the Kavu. I don't know what's going on, but it's just a great name, great card. So Mystic Confluence. Look at this, another one. Retro frames, so cool. This is pretty sweet. I'm a big fan of this card. I just like things that can do multiple things. You never know what's going to happen in Commander. I mean, it's a little expensive, but like you can counter maybe like multiple spells. You can bounce some things, or even just 5 mana draw 3 cards as a fail state is pretty good when you have these other options. Obviously, 5 mana draw 3 is not great, since like 4 mana draw 3 at sorcery speed is like the baseline. But anyways, Mystic Confluence, very cool. Cryptic Command, basically same thing, except even more versatile. Tap stuff down of some players' stuff. All their creatures, you can bounce a thing, counter spell, draw a card. Very good card, very sweet. Definitely one you'd like to recur with Mystic Sanctuary. And regular counterspell for obvious reasons. Yeah, you just want a regular counterspell. I don't have Wizard's Retort in here yet, but I would like to probably just because there's so many wizards in the deck. It's just another counterspell. Obviously, I would play Mana Drain or something if I had it, but this is again kind of more of like a just fun deck. So you're not going to see like Cyclonic Rifts and stuff like that. But whatever, that's okay. That's okay. Negate, yep, just another counterspell for all the worst, scariest stuff, which tend to be generally non-creatures. Uh, Now we have Delay. This basically counters something and doesn't come back until like 3 turns, I believe. Yeah, three time counter. So it takes 3 turns, which is a really long time. So it might not even like against other counter spells or reactive spells that have particular targeting requirements. Obviously, delay is very very good, and like it's just a hard counter because when it comes back, there's nothing to target or do, and it just bloop, just fizzles. But even just like suspending it for like 3 turns is pretty strong versus a ton of decks. So it's kind of like a sort of memory lapse type of thing. Muddle the Mixture. This card obviously is great because both halves of the card are good. So the counter spell part, again, great. Only 2 mana, counter instant or sorcery, and the transmute gets you all sorts of sweet 2 mana cards, right? You can get like another Lord. You can get like a Hex Catcher, right, which is a Lord, but also has like other text. You can get shoot. Mostly I'm just thinking like Lords. I'm trying to remember the other 2 mana cards that are in the deck. Crapola. Well, anyways, if we had a Cyclonic Rift, you could transmute for that as well. But yeah, Muddle the Mixture, great card, big fan of it. All right, now we're on to the dudes, all the dudes and ladies. So we'll start off at 1 and then work our way up. We have Kosi's Trickster. I forgot this card even existed. This is so sweet in Commander. Like, everyone's just shuffling and stuff. So you can get like a really big Kosi's Trickster. It's sort of like Sarah Ascendant, right? Where it can just grow really easily throughout the game because everyone starts at really high life totals. So it feels like that same kind of card. Anyways, Kosi's Trickster is sweet. Mistcaller. Yeah, this is great against people trying to cheat stuff out. I'm a big fan of it. Yeah, and it's just 1 mana, 1/1. And the deck kind of incentivizes you to play cheap cards because you need to pay a colorless to make a token. So yeah, I think these are pretty sweet. Rishadan Dockhand. It has Island Walk, which is nice. So when it's pumped by all your other lords and stuff, it can get in pretty easily. If you don't have an Island Walk granting lord. But also you can use it to tap lands. So obviously think of things like Maze of Ith, Gaia's Cradle, Cabal Coffers, right? Like tapping these during their upkeep, porting them is very, very strong, right? And so I think there's enough utility for this. Like, I mean, yeah, you can do some like, it can be part of like the mana denial plan, but it's mostly there to take people off like these really powerful lands, you know, for a turn, well, or for the rest of the game if this guy stays out. So, yeah, pretty sweet card. And Old Frame. Tide Shaper. This gives people that don't have islands, it gives them islands. And it's basically a 1 mana 2/2 then. So yeah, you can, it also, you know, just blanks utility stuff. So big fan of that, big fan of that. Pretty obvious. Rootwater Thief. This is, again, one of my favorite cards. I have a lot of favorite cards. Anyways, this is an old card I played a lot in Vintage like 20 years ago in the fish decks, and it was super sweet. You got to steal all their restricted cards, but now it's like in Commander, everything's restricted, right? So you get to take their combo cards, which is pretty nice, or whatever. So yeah, you can do a lot with this. Very cool. You can even give it flying, right? Which is pretty sweet. Yeah, just great art. Just a sweet card in general. Master of the Pearl Trident, our first Lord. Yeah, it gives things Island Walk and gives them a buff. This one also has a retro frame, but I don't have one yet. I'll have to get one of those guys. That'd be cool. Merfolk Trickster. This is a tricky wizard. Definitely one that's really good to bounce because you can tap stuff down, remove all of its abilities. So if it had like indestructible or double strike or something scary like that, or all of those, right? Like all those abilities are gone. So that's really cool. so you can block and kill it with stuff that normally wouldn't be able to, and it has flash, so yeah, such a sweet card. Big fan. Merfolk Looter. How could I not play Merfolk Looter in this deck? Just like loot away all the bad cards, get the good cards. Yeah, very, very sweet. Prevents you from flooding out, digs to whatever you want. Very sweet card. I think I like this art versus like the, what was it, like the Exodus art, the old one from Tempest block. I think this one's better. Although the M10 art's good. I mean, they're all good arts, but I think I just like this one better. Just kind of a cleaner, clearer picture. Now, Lord of Atlantis. Obviously, this one does have like the time spiral art. I'm not sure if I like that better than this one. Like this Greg Staples art is really cool, but it's hard to see what's going on. But that's kind of cool too. It's like, oh, he's blending in, and he's got all his bros with him. This is totally the Chad folk, the Chad Merfolk, if you can even say such a thing. But this is cool. Anyways, Lord of Atlantis buffs all Merfolk, gives them Island Walk. Very cool, very cool. Very sweet card. Harbinger of the Tides lets you again bounce stuff. Another wizard, so great with your bouncing stuff and all of your other wizard things. So, yep, very cool. Bounces tap things. Thieving Skydiver, steal target Soul Ring. That's obviously very good. And then stealing like some really powerful equipment can be sweet, like any of the swords, that kind of thing. That's pretty powerful. And it's just a 2-mana 2/1 flyer in general, which is like, again, not super exciting, but it is really sweet. Really sweet. Silvergill Adept comes to play, draws a card. Easy peasy. You have a ton of Merfolk to reveal. Not a problem. Just a sweet card. Voldalian Hexcatcher has flash. Obviously pumps all your other bros, and you can basically gives all your Merfolk sack to Force Spike, or Stubborn Denial, I guess is what it is. Anyways, this is a very sweet card, new card, of course, from Dominaria United. Again, Merfolk is always happy to have more lords, at least in, Commander, where like you need to make all your derpy Merfolk more threatening. So yeah, super sweet here. Core Home Commander, same thing, but it can be a 2-mana 4/4 flyer that pumps all your other dudes. Very cool, very cool. Waterfront Bouncer. Oh boy, do I love this card. This card is so freaking sweet. I mean, you can't go wrong with this guy. He's just like pumping your stuff, and it's awesome. Oh yeah, I should also probably say that Waterfront Bouncer, very cool, very sweet. Stops, dissuades your opponent from attacking. Obviously, bouncing really expensive stuff is sometimes pretty good. Um, Again, removes blockers, blah 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 blah. Can break up, creature-based combos, instant speed, things like that. Yeah, just a good, sweet, cheap card with a lot of utility. And like I said, you guys know I love this art. I love this card. It just makes me laugh every time I see it. Like, just the everything about Mercadia is so funny. Everything's all backwards, like smart goblins, ripped merfolk, like, oh, it's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Sea Scryer. This is should be noted is a Merfolk wizard as well, and it's basically played because it's like a Mind Stone. Basically, it'll ramp, and you can also filter colorless into blue, which is pretty nice. But yeah, so just 2-mana ramp spell. And speaking of 2-mana ramp spells, we have Storybrooke Banneret, and same thing. Yeah, makes your Merfolk less expensive to play, and it has Island Walk already. So it's always kind of nice when they already have pseudo built-in evasion. And look at this Savaylun of Sea and Sky. Again, can't say enough good things about the retro frame. It's perfect. It's the original frame. It's the only one that really matters, and it's great. It's perfect. And yeah, Wizards is doing a lot of really dumb, stupid things recently, but the bringing back the retro frames is definitely a good way to keep enfranchised older players like still invested in wanting, like, oh, you can have like old boarded Chalice of the Void, like, heck yeah, dude, like Chalice in the correct color of artifact, like, you could actually have a mud deck that's actually mud colored again. Anyways, Savaylun is not much to say here. This thing is 3 mana, 3/4, and I mean, this thing's ridiculous. Like, as long as you have two other Merfolk, it's indestructible. When it attacks, you draw a card, and each other Merfolk you control is Ward 1. I mean, wow, this thing does a lot, and it's a 3 mana, 3/4, which is a little above curve. So yeah, this card is sweet. Definitely a good one to even have, like, if you wanted to have like have it as your commander. That'd be a good one to run too. Card is just so sweet. Big fan of it, and beautiful art. Beautiful art. Reminds me of like oh, that art, that famous art with like the Venus and the clamshell. Was that Botticelli? I can't remember. Anyways, tell me in the comments. I forgot. I'm really bad with my Renaissance art. Anyways, Mero Regery. This card is super sweet. It's a lord, and guess what? We don't have a ton of removal, but we have a lot of cards that do have removal parts on them, just sort of baked in. So Mero Regery is one such card, and yeah, you play a Merfolk, you may tap or untap a permanent, so you can like use it to untap your own stuff. Like if you had a Nykthos, like a Nykthos would probably be pretty sweet in here. If I had one somewhere, but they're probably $1 million because of Pioneer. Anyways, uh, Mero Regery, very sweet card, very powerful, can tap or untap all sorts of things, push through blockers, all that good stuff. So yeah, this thing just does it all. Sea Singer, talk about not being able to play Fallen Empires cards. This card is extremely nostalgic for me. I had when I first started playing Magic, some of my friends, that I first started playing Magic with, they they had just, I mean, we were all noobs back then, right? Like this is like 2001, 2002, and like there wasn't really a ton of like the internet was like still in its sort of nascency, really, and like the Magic stuff wasn't super well known. You know, like it wasn't super popular. There wasn't a huge presence of Magic stuff online, so like information about the game and theory and technology and all these other things were just so much harder to find. So like I start out playing kitchen table Magic, and like that's, you know, something that happens with a lot of people, like just play against random stuff. Anyways, my friend had a Sea Singer or multiple Sea Singers in their deck, and like would change my lands to islands, and then and then like Sea Singer my stuff and take control of it, and like had things like Illusionary Wall and all sorts of just other random stuff. Anyways, this is a Merfolk. It steals things. I love stealing things. This is so cool. The text is so long. Can you even read that? I don't know. It doesn't matter. This is also like the was it the Birth of Venus? Is that what I'm thinking? Anyways, just a great card. I love these old cards, and it's actually like pretty solid. Like stealing stuff is sweet. So wait, what? People are gonna think I'm some sort of deviant. All right, Lol Mage Mentor. This card is very cool. It's one of the few cards, at least Merfolk cards I can find, that actually make Merfolk tokens. So whenever you a spell or ability you control counters a spell, you may put a 1/1 blue Merfolk onto the battlefield, and then you can do the tap 7 thing. So like that was originally a mechanic in Onslaught for like a lot of the tribal decks. But this is tap 7 untap Merfolk you control, counter target spell, which is pretty sweet. If you get to that point, I mean, I guess that's pretty awesome. But like, they're gonna want to start messing with your board then. But anyways, Vault Mage Mentor definitely gives you a lot more staying power, a lot more resiliency, and yeah, very cool. Wake Thrasher. This dude just gets huge. Just have a bunch of permanents out, untap them, and it gets really big. So I like that. That's fun. And yeah, there you go. Merfolk Sovereign. This is another lord. And it makes a Merfolk unblockable, which can be relevant, I guess. Whatever, just another lord. Oh, wait, here we go. Here's one that we'd want to be unblockable. Thada Adel. That's right. You can steal their artifacts. That's right. And you can play them. So you get to, again, just stealing their soul rings, stealing their, powerful equipment, which is great for your deck of tiny dudes. So, I mean, this deck probably wants Sword of Fire and Ice and Feast and Famine too, probably. But anyways, sweet card, very powerful. Well, sort of. But it also has Island Walk natively as well. So, and we have another wizard with more wizard stuff. So there's kind of like a sub theme of wizard stuff in this deck. 3 mana 2/2, and then tap 2 untap wizards you control. Copy target instant or sorcery spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. So if anyone tries to counter your big spell or your obviously your Merfolk or whatever, you can tap your wizards to copy their counterspell to counter their own counterspell. Very cool stuff. So yeah, this is a sweet card. You can obviously um, copy anyone's instants or sorceries, so that's very, very cool. I'm a big fan of that. So again, just more tricky stuff, more sneaky stuff, more cool stuff. Marrow Harbinger tutors up a Merfolk, which is really cool, and puts it on top of your library. A little slow, a little dirty, but it's a cool card. Also, there's like Tidal Courier, which would be a good one to get, but I didn't. I just kind of ran out of room. Marrow Harbinger will get you any card, which is better than just random cards uh, from Tidal Courier. So that's why he's not in here. But who is in here? Sea Hunter. That's right, Sea Hunter. This thing puts any merfolk into play, and we have some cool ones coming up that are very powerful. Again, even just getting like a hex catcher at instant speed, very, very strong. So yeah, this card is very sweet. I don't know why these cards haven't been reprinted, like the Sea Hunter or Mog Catcher or whatever. Like, very strange, very strange. Surge Spanner. This is great because when it becomes tapped, so when you're attacking or even if you're tapping it with opposition, you can return a permanent, any permanent, not land, any permanent to its owner's hand, which is sweet. Just bouncing stuff off the table gives you some tempo, buys you some time, removes blockers. You get the point by now. So yeah, very cool. Obviously, 4 mana 2/2 is nothing to write home about, but it's sweet. But what is good to write home about is, of course, Empress Galena. You can just permanently gain control of a target legendary permanent, which is super cool. It's one of the few, like, quote unquote, expensive cards. I guess it's only like $15, but still, this card is so sweet. Just stealing everyone's stuff is super fun. It's obviously a Merfolk Noble. Um, Very cool. Yeah, so I mean, this card is sweet. I don't think I've ever played with it ever before, but it's definitely really cool, and I like the flavor text. I just like the art. I like Matt Kavoda. He's a great artist. Done a lot of really cool stuff. Did Gob Pile Driver. So there you go. Wanderwine Prophets. This card is so sweet because this one's you definitely want to make unblockable with Merfolk Sovereign. You can basically take infinite turns if you just make enough Merfolk. Very, very cool. So yeah, this is a super sweet, super powerful card, and can kind of insulate you against wrath effects because the championed Merfolk will come back into play. But yeah, this thing is pretty sweet. Yeah, sacrifice a Merfolk, take an extra turn. Pretty good line of text. Pretty good line of text. So yeah, big fan of this card, and also a wizard. Also a wizard. So more wizard stuff. And last but not least, again, I had to have some of these big boom booms, big boom boom fatties. This one is so cool. 8 mana 8/8 Stormtide Leviathan. It already has Island Walk. All lands are islands in addition to their other types, so that's really great because what does that do? It means all your Island Walk dudes get to get in for free, and creatures that flying or Island Walk can't attack. Fortunately, a lot of our Merfolk already have Island Walk and or can gain flying, as well as all of our lords, or a decent amount of our lords, give Island Walk to our Merfolk. So this is really sweet. It's just sweet as like a huge 8 mana 8/8. This card is so cool. Like, how could I not run it? So yeah, very, very sweet. So that does it for that, for the most part. Although I would like to go over just a couple of cards. Pow, 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 pow. There we go. A couple of cards I was thinking about playing. We got this guy. Whoop, bam. Long-term plans. Again, just kind of an unrestricted tutor, instant speed, gets us anything, which is really cool. Also, Drift of Phantasms. Again, just another transmute card, getting us, either like a Worn Power Stone or like a Merfolk Lord, or stuff like that. Really flexible, can get you a bunch of different things. So that's kind of neat. Also, if I wanted, well, obviously, uh, did want to play this guy possibly, of course, Tormod's Crypt. Can't go wrong with Tormod's Crypt. There's a bunch of random stuff like I said, I mentioned Title Courier, thinking about playing that guy. But if I want a more cheap Merfolk, this one's pretty good. Title Warrior, just one mana one, and turns lands into islands. Very cool, very cool. Wizard's Retort, right? Counter magic. Um, Wayfarer's Bauble, obviously, because it's just more land, ramp, gets islands. And Hedron Archive, if I'm looking for a lot more big mana ramp. And of course, there's things like Cavern of Souls, Minamo. Minamo would be really great because Minamo is so good with Empress Galena, stealing two things a turn. Amazing. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. Obviously, like this is more of a casual deck, so there's no mana crypts or mana vaults or whatever. No mana drain. Uh, I will probably play Bribery and Treachery, just because they're in theme and they're super fun cards to play. Like I like casting those cards a lot. Like it just feels so good. Good fun, good fun. And of course, uh, I might play Static Orb as an additional way to just hose things. It's obviously very good with opposition, uh, as is of course Winter Ward. But Static Orb's also 3 mana, so you can fetch it with Drift of Phantasms if I was able to put that in too. Yeah. So, anyways, that's it for today, guys. So much stuff to talk about. This deck is very cool, very fun, very sweet, and yeah, freaking Merfolk. Look at these Merfolk. Oh, so many Merfolk. Oh, the fishes. I love it. All right, guys. So, thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this, and have a nice day.